In my past life, I won a 50 million lottery jackpot and took home 40 million after taxes. I barely got to enjoy my wealthy life before the zombie apocalypse hit. My girlfriend sold me for a single cookie, and I died a brutal death in a horde of zombies. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself standing in front of a bank. I was still clutching that 50 million lottery ticket, with vivid memories of being eaten by zombies fresh in my mind. I was still shaking in fear and my heart was pounding out of my chest. After calming myself down, I walked right past the bank. I ran to a nearby restaurant and ordered a plain egg fried rice. The rice and eggs in my mouth tasted so good it felt unreal. I hadn't eaten rice in 3 months in the apocalypse, and I only survived 3 months total. Tears of emotion rolled down my cheeks as I ate the delicious egg fried rice. No one knew I hated egg fried rice more than anything before the apocalypse. I used to think it had a fishy aftertaste after I left the restaurant. I went to a supermarket, bought a full mascot costume, put one on, and headed to the bank to cash my ticket. I got exactly 40 million after taxes, and this time I didn't call my girlfriend. I just sent her a quick text saying we are breaking up. I hope you and Shen Kong are happy. This was something I only found out after the apocalypse in my past life. My girlfriend had been cheating on me with him for a long time, and only stayed with me for the lottery money. She would have dumped me long ago if she didn't know I won the 50 million after I sent the text. I checked the date. There were only 20 days left until the apocalypse, and I had to move fast. This time I only wanted to survive. I spent 20 million to buy a villa nearby. It had 3 floors and was in a quiet suburban villa neighborhood. It had way fewer people than high-rise apartment buildings, meaning fewer zombies when the apocalypse hit. That gave me a much higher chance of survival. I checked the villa's construction materials. They were all heavy-duty reinforced materials with a deep, solid foundation. The ground was stable too, but I still wasn't satisfied. I hired the best local renovation company to replace every window with bulletproof glass. I also had one-way privacy film applied so no one could see inside from the outside. Because the scariest thing in the apocalypse isn't zombies, it's other people. That wasn't all. I also had the exterior walls of the villa, fully soundproofed with the highest quality materials available. Because zombies are drawn to sound based on the current renovation schedule. The work would take around 20 days to finish, and I was filled with anxiety. I found the renovation company manager and told him money was no object if it was done in 10 days. When the manager asked why I was in such a rush, I told him the villa was for my family. I wanted to surprise them, and they would be arriving in 10 days. I wasn't lying about that before the apocalypse in my past life. My family was really coming to visit me, and I really wanted to surprise them. Unfortunately, the virus broke out while they were traveling, and I never found out what happened to them. So this time I called my family ahead of time and told them I missed them terribly. I wanted them to come stay with me, and I already bought their tickets. I booked the earliest flight available, and my family hadn't arrived yet. The villa renovations weren't finished either, but I couldn't just sit around. During the day, I supervised the renovations and fixed any gaps while hiring more workers to install solar panels on the villa, because just days after the apocalypse, the power grid would collapse and cause nationwide blackouts. I had the entire rooftop of the villa fully sealed off. The rooftop had nearly 10 meters of clearance. If someone broke in through the rooftop, we would be completely defenseless. I also had all the balconies fully sealed with security bars and bulletproof glass. On top of that, I also made a trip to the hardware store to replace every lock in the villa with the most heavy-duty bank-grade locks available. I especially replaced the main exterior door with a vault-grade security door. I added 2 more extra doors so to get inside the villa from outside. You had to get through 3 separate doors once I confirmed the work quality and speed were good. I went to a 4S dealership and bought a heavy-duty off-road SUV in great condition, plus a full-size RV in case the villa was compromised and we needed to escape. Then I drove the SUV to a nearby supermarket and bought 20 cases each of rice flour, cooking oil, salt, vinegar, soy sauce, sesame oil, purified water, instant noodles, bread, sunflower seeds, and more. I got 20 cases of every shelf-stable food I could find on my way home. I passed a pharmacy and bought a huge stock of common over-the-counter medications once the renovation workers left for the night. I secretly moved all the supplies into the villa because in the apocalypse, word of your stockpile getting out is a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. Finally, on the 10th day, the villa renovations were finished. That same day, my parents and little sister arrived. Once we got home, I didn't hold anything back. I told my family the apocalypse was coming very soon, and we needed to prepare. Unfortunately, none of them believed me, son. You have to stop joking around, my mom said, looking at me with deep worry. She kept feeling my forehead over and over again. You don't even have a fever, Mom, I'm not joking. If you don't believe me, old man G at the east end of our village will pass away tonight. My parents' faces dropped immediately and they scolded me. What are you talking about? Boy, old man G is in perfect health. We just saw him working in the fields 2 days ago. He didn't rush to argue with my parents. They would know I was telling the truth tonight. In my past life, my parents said they would come visit after finishing the farm work. Right before they were supposed to leave, my mom called to say old man G had passed away. They would have to delay their trip a few more days, my mom said on the phone back then. Old man G was working in the fields and fell down a slope on his way home. He died in the hospital that very night. Life is so unpredictable. You never know what the next second will bring. During dinner, my mom made a huge table of food. It smelled amazing and brought back so many memories. Come on, eat more. You look so skinny, you must have worked so hard in the big city. My mom kept putting food in my bowl with a loving look, while my dad watched me with concern. It's okay, I was cut off before I could finish my sentence. A phone ringtone cut off my words. My dad stood up. He pulled his phone out of his pocket. He'll take this call. You guys keep eating, he said, then walked out to the balcony. When he came back, his fate was serious. What's wrong, Dad? Who was that on the phone? My mom asked casually while putting food in my and my sister's bowls. It was old man Jess' eldest son from the east end of the village, he said. Old man Guy passed away tonight. My mom's face went white with shock. She didn't even notice the meat falling off her chopsticks. My dad silently pulled a cigarette out of his pocket and lit it. Death countdown 9 days until the apocalypse. Time was running out, and our supplies were still nowhere near enough. At dawn, I went to a dealership and bought a brand new heavy-duty semi-trailer to go stock up on supplies out of town. Buying too much at local supermarkets would raise suspicion, and I couldn't go all out while the renovation workers were around. Now I could finally go all out with our stockpile. My My dad was with me too, and he used to drive semi-trucks on long-haul routes, so this heavy-duty trailer was nothing for him. We drove straight to a big supermarket in another city. This time I didn't even go into the shopping area. I went straight to the supermarket manager and told him we were donating supplies to kids in mountainous areas and our factory order was delayed. We had to buy from the supermarket directly because our schedule was so tight. The manager was over the moon and didn't suspect a thing. He looked at our list and immediately had his staff load everything onto our semi-trailer. This time I held nothing back. I bought every bit of rice flour and oil they had. I took every single bag of snack food they had in their warehouse. I cleared out every self-heating meal they had, plus all the purified water and soda. If it was in the warehouse, we loaded it onto the truck. We also got a bunch of meat, fresh produce, and dairy, even though they didn't keep well. Since meat was hard to store, I made a phone call to my mom, who was organizing supplies at the villa, and told her to buy 5 extra large freezers for meat storage, and to pick up extra pots, pans, and dishes while the staff were loading the goods. My dad spotted some nutritional supplements in the corner of the warehouse, and we bought those too. We also bought a bunch of vegetable and fruit seeds, plus multiple water purifiers. We cleared out almost the entire supermarket inventory before the semi-trailer was full. Let's get some clothes and blankets to fill the gaps, I suggested. The weather after the apocalypse was not just abnormal. It was extremely volatile, swinging from burning hot to freezing cold, and so many people died from the extreme weather. My dad grunted in agreement, and we ended up buying more blankets. 10 down jackets and 10 thick winter coats per person, plus fans, space heaters, electric blankets, and dozens of boxes of hand warmers and cooling patches. Only then were we satisfied. We got back to the city at exactly 1 a.m. It was completely quiet and still. The semi-trailer was too big to drive into the villa neighborhood, so we carefully moved the supplies trip by trip through the night and got almost everything moved before dawn. The rest would be moved slowly at night by my mom and sister while we were out of town. After we rested that afternoon, my dad drove a smaller box truck I had bought and took me to another closer city with our previous experience. This shopping trip went very smoothly this time. My dad and I agreed to focus on daily necessities, entertainment items, and self-defense weapons. By the time we got back to the villa, a full day and night had passed. My mom and sister had already moved the rest of the supplies all into the villa. The second and third floors were now completely filled with supplies. It was still nighttime and no one was around. It was another all-night family moving session this time. The truck was smaller than the last one. We got everything unloaded and organized just before dawn after the sun came up. My dad and I went to the local wholesale market, but we didn't buy much. Besides not wanting to raise suspicion, we were almost out of space in the villa. We bought about the same amount as other local vendors on our way back. My phone rang. It was my ex-girlfriend. I had forgotten to block her number. Why aren't you answering it? My dad asked curiously while driving. She's here to borrow money. She still hasn't paid back the money she owed before I said while hanging up the phone. I blocked her number right after. You should stay away from people like that. They'll only get you into trouble. My dad warned me he was right. They would only get you into trouble. I smiled bitterly to myself. She was always so calculating. And I was so naive, I even thought I was the only one for her after she cheated. Looking back now, it was absolutely ridiculous. Death countdown 3 days until the apocalypse. Our supplies were almost fully ready. We had enough food for our family of 4 to last 34 years. Plus my dad had planted plenty of vegetables and fruits on the balcony. If they grew well, we could survive the entire apocalypse without ever leaving. Right now, my biggest worry was still security, Dad. I've been watching the past few days. None of the neighboring villas are occupied. Some are even up for rent. What do you think about renting all of them? My dad thought for a moment and said, it could work, but do we even have enough money left for that? Don't worry about that. We have more than enough. I smiled confidently shortly after I bought the villa. I regretted buying it outright with cash. The apocalypse was coming. Who would even come after me for a mortgage? I fixed that mistake right away. I took the villa I had just bought outright and took out a 12 million mortgage on it at the bank. With that money, I rented 3 neighboring villas. The average rent was 100K per villa per month. I rented all 3. That came out to 300K total per month. Why only 3? Because one of the villas wasn't for rent, it was for sale. It hadn't been sold yet. For extra security, I bit the bullet and bought it with a 10 million down payment. Even after all that, I still wasn't satisfied. I bought 20 pinhole cameras and placed them in hidden spots all around the 4 neighboring villas. The internet wouldn't go down immediately after the apocalypse. After all, I checked the time. There was only a little over a day left until the apocalypse. We weren't sure exactly when it would start. To play it safe, our whole family agreed we wouldn't leave the villa again. Even inside the villa, we didn't sit around idle. While the water and power were still working, we fully charged every single rechargeable device we owned. We took out every container we had that could hold water and filled them all to the top. We also watered all the fruits and vegetables my dad had just planted for the rest of the time. Everyone downloaded their favorite shows, books, comics, and single-player games to pass the boring, terrifying days ahead in the apocalypse. Wake up. Wake up, look outside. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. I was jolted awake by my little sister who was pointing out the window with a terrified look on her face. What's wrong with outside? I rubbed my eyes. I had been on watch all night and had just fallen asleep. I lifted my head and looked out the window. It was gray and hazy outside. The clouds hung low and heavy in the sky like it was about to rain. Wait. No. I jumped up in a panic and rechecked every door and window in the villa. I only relaxed once I confirmed they were all locked tight.
Follow, like, comment, and share for more story.